Unhinged leftists are having a meltdown yet again. Yes, it may be a new year, but the same group of professional protesters have assembled in all corners of the globe, this time to protest against the US capture of Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife.
So loud that the war criminals in Washington hear you. Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Venezuela! Stop the bombings right now!
And in Seattle, this person in a skirt had an unhinged meltdown, leading a crowd of people screaming, "Hands off Venezuela."
Here with me all. Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Venezuela! Free President Maduro! La lucha sigue! Libertad, socialismo o muerte, venceremos!
And even here in Australia, protests exploded.
Hands off Venezuela! Hands off Venezuela! Yankees! Yankees, go home!
And whilst protests have broken out, political influencer Harry Sisson is demanding answers from President Trump.
A quick question for Donald Trump and his supporters. What's the plan? It's 5 a.m. on the East Coast right now. Donald Trump just announced that the U.S. military has captured Nicolas Maduro and his wife, the president of Venezuela, after we bombed Venezuela in the middle of the night, focusing on their capital city. And I'm just curious, what's the plan? What are we going to do with Maduro, with his wife? Where are they going? What's next for Venezuela? You know, there's a massive power vacuum in Venezuela right now, and I can guarantee that there are already bad groups in that country looking to take power. You know, regime change, historically, has not worked very well. We in the United States should know that by now, but we're doing it again. Donald Trump, the guy who said no more war, just captured the president from another country. So I'm just curious what the plan is. The defense minister of Venezuela survived the attack, had a press conference after saying there's going to be retaliation. It's not over. They want to beat the United States. So what's next? Did they think this through? Let me take that back. I already know the answer. No, they did not. No, they did not.
The leftist mainstream media is also taking their usual anti-Trump stance, with MSN Now's Rachel Maddow slamming the action taken by the US.
In your heart of hearts, when you think about what the United States just did, I think there are very few Americans right now who have any idea why the United States did this. If this was about drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States? Presidents essentially, jungle concentration camps. So all of the purported explanations for what's happened here don't stand up to logical scrutiny. The president has never articulated a coherent rationale for having done this. This seems like Marco Rubio's dream, not Donald Trump's dream.
They then doubled down during their news coverage, highlighting the protests in Times Square.
Yeah, hi, Alex. A lot of people out here are frustrated because they say no matter what type of a leader Venezuela had, the U.S. should not have enacted violence. They should have not dropped bombs. They should have not captured their leader.
And Secretary of State Marco Rubio has come out swinging to defend his operation, schooling the mainstream media after he was blasted by NBC News.
If the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil companies?
We also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela. Why have 8 million people left Venezuela? 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela in 2014 because all the wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
And whilst the activists are trying their hardest to undermine the actions of Trump in the West, it's a different story in Venezuela, Miami, and other South American nations, where Latinos are reportedly elated after the ousting of their dictator.
Venezuela. ¿Listo? Venezuela.
Al fin, señor, gracias. Gracias, mi Dios.
Por fin, 26 años.
This Venezuelan woman broke out in tears during a celebration in Miami, Florida, thanking President Trump and the United States.
La veo muy emocionada llorando. ¿Cómo se siente? Cuéntanos por qué llora.
Felicidad, tantos años esperar esto, Señor. Gracias, Señor. Ay, Dios mío, esta es una alegría inmensa. Gracias, Señor. Gracias al presidente de Estados Unidos. Yo lo estoy esperando hace 1 año. Cómo he sufrido, cómo no han hecho daño, cómo han matado a mis hermanos. Ay, esto ha sido horrible, mira.
¿Cuántos años tiene usted aquí en los Estados Unidos? ¿Hace cuánto se fue de Venezuela?
Ay, tenemos aquí 8 años ya. 8 años porque nos mataron al hermano mayor y fue fuerte, hermano. Secuestraron a mis hermanos, eso fue fuerte. Y doy gracias a Dios por todo esto, porque ha sido fuerte.
And this online commentator reacted, saying it's eye-opening watching the reaction videos coming from the Venezuelan people. Trump is the GOAT.